You don't lose your faith all at once. You lose it slowly. A compromise here, a silence there, a moment where you knew the truth, but chose comfort instead. And the scariest part? You don't even notice it happening because it feels normal. Everyone around you is doing the same. The pressure is subtle. The expectations are quiet. The environment is strong. And before you realize it, you've adjusted. Not because you wanted to leave your dean, but because staying firm felt too difficult, too isolating, too uncomfortable. But there were young men who faced that exact world and made a decision most people wouldn't dare to make. They walked away from everything, not because they were weak, but because they refused to become weak. The youth of the cave, young, not scholars, not prophets, not people with status or power, just young men, surrounded by a society that normalized disbelief, a system that didn't just allow corruption, it enforced it, publicly, powerfully, dangerously, and that's where it becomes real, because living in a corrupt environment doesn't just test your actions, it tests your identity, what you believe, what you stand for, what you're willing to lose. And most people fail this test quietly. They don't announce it. They don't make a clear decision. They just adapt. They blend in. They adjust their values to match their surroundings. And over time, they become what they once questioned. But these young men didn't. They saw clearly. Our Lord is the Lord of the heavens and the earth. Simple, but powerful. Clarity in a world of confusion. Certainty in a world of doubt. And that clarity came with a cost. Because truth is never just about knowing. It's about choosing. And they chose. Not halfway, not privately, fully. And that decision made them targets. Because when you stand for something real, you expose everything fake around you. And people don't like that. Power doesn't like that. Systems don't tolerate that. So the pressure came. Not suggestions, not gentle persuasion. Threats, real consequences, real danger. And this is where most people break. Not because they don't believe, but because they're afraid of what belief will cost them. Friends, reputation, opportunities, safety, and slowly, they start negotiating. Maybe I can believe, but stay quiet. Maybe I can adjust just a little. Maybe I don't have to go all the way. That's how Iman weakens, not through denial, through compromise. But the youth of the cave didn't negotiate. They didn't dilute their belief. They didn't wait for things to get easier. They made a move. They left. Think about that. They walked away from their homes, their comfort, their status, everything familiar, not because they wanted adventure, but because they wanted to protect something more valuable, their faith. And that's a decision most people avoid. Because leaving is hard. Leaving what you know. Leaving what you're used to. Leaving what feels safe. Even if it's slowly destroying you. But staying would have cost them something greater. So they chose discomfort, over compromise, isolation, over corruption, uncertainty, over spiritual loss. And they went to the cave, not a palace, not a safe, comfortable place, a cave, dark, empty, unknown. And this is where it gets deeper, because from the outside, it looks like they lost everything. No support, no system, no plan, just trust. But that's the point most people miss. Sometimes protecting your deen will look like you're losing in a dunya. You'll have less comfort, less approval, less stability. But internally, you're gaining something far greater: connection, clarity, strength. Because real strength is built when you choose Allah over everything else, even when it costs you everything else. And then, something happened. Not immediately, not in a way they expected, but in a way only Allah could plan. They slept. Not for a night, not for a few days, but for years, decades. Protected, preserved, honored. Pause. They left to protect their faith, and Allah protected them in ways they couldn't even imagine. Time itself was controlled for them, because when you choose Allah sincerely, He takes care of what you leave behind. But here's what you need to understand. They didn't know the outcome. They didn't leave with certainty of what would happen next. They moved with trust. And that's the part you struggle with. You want clarity first. You want guarantees. You want to see the outcome before you make the decision. But faith doesn't work like that. You move first, and then Allah opens the way. Not always how you expect, but always in a way that's better. And when they woke up, the world had changed. The same belief they were persecuted for was now accepted, honored, protected. Think about that. What they ran from was no longer there. What they feared had disappeared. And their story became a sign, a reminder, a lesson, not just for their time, but for you. Because you're living in your own version of that test. Not exactly the same, but similar. Different pressures, different systems, different challenges, but the same question: will you protect your faith? Or will you slowly let it slip? Because no one is forcing you directly, but everything around you is influencing you, pulling you, normalizing things that distance you from Allah, and you're adjusting, little by little, without even realizing it. So ask yourself, where are you compromising right now? What are you tolerating that you know is wrong? What are you staying in that's weakening your Iman? Because the hardest part is not knowing the truth. It's acting on it. It's choosing discomfort. When comfort is available, it's standing firm. When blending in is easier. But that's where real identity is built. Not when it's easy, but when it's difficult. The youth of the cave didn't wait for the world to change. They changed their position, and Allah changed the world around them. So don't wait. Don't keep adjusting. Don't keep negotiating your values, because every compromise costs you something. And eventually, you'll feel it. So protect your Iman, even if it makes you different, even if it isolates you, even if it feels like you're losing, because you're not. You're just choosing something most people won't. And that choice changes everything. If this made you uncomfortable, good. That means you're paying attention. And if this changed your perspective, subscribe, because the next video might change your life.